Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
I think those were the things that I wanted to point out. I don't know if we should take a look at if there are questions or if you want to add some more to that, Steve.
Well, that's great, Stan. Maybe one other thing, if you just could show us a little bit more about anything as far as how you look at the Greeks with TradeStation. I think that the attendees would really like that. I know that there are a lot of TradeStation clients on, but there are a lot of non-TradeStation clients on. If you could just show them one other thing, and then we'll wrap it up with some questions.
Sure. A few other questions just came up that while you were talking, I looked over to the other monitor that I could see a little bit better now. This is the. Let me mention a couple of things. One question came up, and you probably do have a lot of TradeStation users about how did I get that window in there, that office window, in this case an Excel window. If you click on File, New Window in TradeStation, now clearly you have to have Office on the machine in which you're doing that. We don't supply you with Office. So it can embed that. It's our architecture shares that used by Microsoft. When you click on that, you'll see the New Window dialog. Go over to the Other Active Documents. And in here, you'll find some stuff that only an engineer would understand. But you'll also find things like Microsoft Office Excel worksheet, PowerPoint presentation. You'll find Word document. Again, as long as you have Office on that computer, and it'll create one of those windows. And when I click back to that window, this is my TradeStation desktop with my menus and toolbars. When I click here, it actually gives me a layout tool set for Excel. In fact, I hid part of that tool set so that you wouldn't see it. I don't know if I can bring it back easily enough. Okay, excellent. Good. Thank you for your patience. What I was saying is that the analysis window, the OptionStation analysis window, is what many people would refer to as the chains. The information on the asset is in here, volatilities. These are all calculated on real time. All the ticks are calculated into that, and we by default will display the calls left and puts on the right. That's a pretty common layout. And we will group by expiration and then sort by strike, and you can actually flip that around. That can be flipped around so so that we can actually group them by strike, and then within each strike sort by expiration. There's an additional pane that can be part of this window. I'll add it in so you can see it. I mentioned the asset pane. I mentioned certainly the Greeks are going to be in this section with the options. There are other columns that can be added, and you can resequence this. This is not a fixed layout, but this is the default layout. This is the spread pane, and the spread pane is used to look at multi-leg possibilities. Now, right now, the spread pane is displaying the covered right possibilities, but we can switch that around, and we can change that to a different presentation in the spread pane. Instead of covered calls, we can look at other combinations. We can look at vertical call spreads. And all it does is it's manufacturing the bids and offers out of the bid and offer for the individual legs. These are the Junes. If we look at the Julys, you'll see those a little more. And you also see when I hover on one of those, let's say a 72, 72 and a half, you'll see that that row is in that dark red. That dark red appears up top, highlighting the two legs that are part of this spread. Right now I have them set for one strike apart. If we want to look at spreads that are two strikes apart, we can just change it to a two strike, and now we're looking at the ones, twos, 1.5s, 2.5s, 2s, 3s. So it's just a modeling tool to save us from, in the old days, I know that Steve probably remembers when you used to sit there and you take one bid and one offer and the other bid and the other offer, and you had to do all that in your head.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember those. Hey, Stan, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Could you go through, Bill's asking, using the euro example you had on the screen for a July call, how much of a change in the euro exchange rate is required to cover the option price? So I think you sort of went through it, that your spreadsheet was really helpful, I think, in answering Bill's question.
Okay.
Because I think he's asking for basically, what is the ISE call? Which call am I looking at? And then after that, I guess you go to your the pricer, the way that you look at the Greeks and find the delta of that option, correct?
Yeah, let me see if I can, what I had, the reason we went blank is because
okay.
Excel quit
out. But you
out
did
on
really go through this, but Bill was just, I guess, thinking about maybe, possibly doing it sometime in the future, going through that process again.
Let me see if I can get Excel to cooperate again, and I have to be, if I'm nice, maybe it'll help. Okay. What I did literally when I opened this up, the way I set it up, it's not as pretty right now, but I literally just highlighted these from TradeStation, and I used the Windows clipboard, Control-C, and I dumped the strike prices into this spreadsheet.
Right.
And then next to it, I just took 1 divided by that number, that cell value. Of course, I didn't do a very good job of it. 1 divided by the cell. I need my equal sign. Equal 1 divided by, there we go, the cell. And I think I did times 100 just to make it look a little nicer.
Yeah, right, you did.
Yeah. And I probably trimmed that. So if we take this and run it down, does this help? I can, we can probably reduce the number of decimals, but if you just look at the first few, you're probably okay. This is where I got in trouble before, trying to bring back all my Excel tools. And here we can make this a little bit neater.
I think he's trying to say, what happens if he thought that his trouble spot was just pick a number, 137, 1.37931, which I guess is equivalent to 72.5. Then you would look at that call option, correct?
Right. That was my contention. Was if I have a level that I'm interested in the market, I'm assuming I'm trying to put a cap or a floor.
Right.
So I'm looking at a level, and if it busts through that level, I really want protection. Now, I'm not getting into detailed, you can address this if you want a little, Steve, but into the sort of the detailed options aspect. Should I buy in the money and out of the money? I was just using a target level as saying if 138 was my concern, which is what I had said before, then I'm looking at a 138, I think we said, or 139, and I'm looking at a 72.5 option is equivalent to that 138 level. Now, in terms of price movement, you can see the difference in here for a full number 71 to 72. We're looking at almost 200. We're going from 139 to, let's call it, almost 141.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.